We're live. NFL draft is just 3 days away. So what better time for the final rookie mock of the pre-draft season? I'm joined tonight by a few of my guys from the Yards for Fantasy team. Everybody want to introduce themselves? Start with Steven right below me here. What's up, Steven?
What's up, man? Everybody on the Yards per side. Steven Chalmers back with another rookie mock draft. If you've been following Ryan and I, this is a pretty consistent part of our podcast show for the off season. As always, let me introduce my partner in crime, Ryan Odell, aka Deli. Ryan, say what's up to the people.
What's going on, everybody? Glad to be back on the show. Glad for another mock draft. We've done too many of these. I think this is number 9 for me. So getting a little gassed out. I'm glad they're finally wrapping up. Nonetheless, Ryan, you can find me at FFDeli on Twitter. Best time to find me. Any questions you got about fantasy, send them over my way. That being said, we got my boy Dennis right below us.
What's good? You can get me on Twitter at Madison_Madman. Yeah, I'm excited. It's my first fantasy mock of the year. Can't wait for Thursday. Great day.
Yeah.
And then I can't read. Buy and sell you. You're up next.
It's all good.
My bad.
What's up, everybody? I'm Sam. You can find me at Buy and Sell You on Twitter, part of the Yards per Fantasy team. Glad to be back here with Steven and Ryan again for another one. And looks like we're actually doing 12 teams this time around, which I'm excited about. So find me on Twitter. I'm always on there.
Yeah, so if you look at the board, we got 6 teams. However, we got 8 rounds. So essentially, the second round is the second half of the first round for a 12-team league. So Steven, I believe, has the 101. His second pick is essentially the 107 and so forth. Hopefully we can get through all 4 rounds. We might have to do rapid fire at the end if we go too long, but we're going to give you a little analysis on each pick and kind of let you know how we're feeling about each player and roast each other's picks a little bit. And we are going to make a super flex. No tight end premium, but we are going to do super flex. So I think with that, we got Steven, you're on the clock at 101.
Well, boys, in Ryan polls we trust. It's the easiest pick, Mr. Caleb Williams. He's been my 101 in Superflex formats for a while now. Great situation walking into it. We've seen the Keenan Allen trade. You see the DJ Moore pickup last year. Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift, plethora of weapons there in Chicago. The 1-9 pick is on the board as well. Very excited about Caleb Williams' situation. He's my 101. He has been for quite some time now.
Yeah, Dennis, you must be how you feeling, Bears fan? Caleb Williams on the way.
I gotta be honest, I did love Fields. I hope the best for him, but I can't wait. I just have gone really deep into as much as kind of like the off the field and kind of like who he is as a person. And it really seems like he gets a bad rap. But I think he's going to kill it. I don't think a 101 has ever walked into a situation as prepared as this.
Yeah,
it's just such a unique situation.
They've done a fantastic job of setting him up and just rebuilding that team overall.
100%.
They're not your typical 101 team. This is the Panthers pick.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm very curious what they do at 109.
In Carolina, we trust, baby. In Carolina, we trust.
So Drew was not able to make it tonight. He's got the 102. He is drafting. He's not on the show. He took Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't think we really need to talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. too much. We all know at this point who Marvin Harrison Jr. is. He's spectacular. Does anybody here have Malik Nabers ahead of Marvin Harrison?
Nope.
No, but I think they're 1A, 1B. I think they are relatively close.
For me, it's basically a tie at this point.
Yeah. I think Nabers' profile is better as a athletic, and they look at the numbers wise. As far as like analytics go, I think the numbers say Nabers, but I still think I prefer Harrison.
Yeah, and our prospect model, Malik Nabers scores a little bit higher than Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, different receivers. I think you're looking at somebody in Marvin Harrison who dominates at the line of scrimmage, dominates at the catch point, the best body control in the class. I think Malik Nabers is better after the catch, something that Marvin Harrison doesn't typically struggle with, but it's something that Malik Nabers is definitely better at. So it's going to be the situation, how the team, schemes for these receivers. But I think they're both dynasty cornerstone wide receiver ones.
Yeah, definitely. I think I think a lot of it is, and I hate player comps, but the only way to really think about it, I think, is to liken at least the style of game. And I'll throw names out. It doesn't mean I'm comparing him to those guys, but Marvin Harrison is more of a Mike Evans kind of guy. He's going to go up and get the ball every single time. He's probably not going to run a lot afterwards, but it's not that big a deal. Whereas Nabers is more of a Jamar Chase kind of guy, a guy that can catch and run, and his speed it kills in the open field. So they can pretty much line him up everywhere, rather than just being the prototypical Y.
Exactly. All right, 103, Dennis. Who are you taking?
I feel like I kind of have to go Daniels. I don't really love the Washington landing spot. I think it can be problematic. One, that's just an organization that really has struggled, but you never know. Maybe this new regime has it set up well. I'm not a big Cliff Kingsbury fan for his time with Kyler, but I am a Daniels fan. I think he's really, really special, even with that fucked up elbow. I think he's just really, really cool to watch. I think he's super, super unique. People say like Lamar Jackson. He's not Lamar. He runs totally different. Like Lamar, I don't think has ever been tagged once in his life, and Jayden Daniels loves to get lit up. It's like his favorite thing. And so I'm definitely concerned about that. But I just think, I just think the upside in fantasy with the rushing ability, I would agree. I would have gone Marvin Harrison at 2, just because I think he's, I don't want to say bust proof, but real close to that.
He's about as close as you can get.
Right. But I think with it being Superflex, I do have to go Daniels over my wide receiver 2, which is actually Adunze. I like him better than Nabers.
Does everybody think that Washington is going Jayden Daniels?
No. I'm not 100% sold.
No.
It's still been there. I've been saying this for a while now. It's like, this is the most unsure draft I think we've had in a long time. Yeah. Like, no team's really outspoken about who they're really going after this year. So I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
As a Patriots fan sitting at 3, I think I'm kind of hoping they go Daniels at 2. I slightly favor Drake Maye, but I'm kind of happy with either.
Yeah.
Except I'm half expecting them to not take a quarterback at all, just because they're going to break my back. Yeah. The worst case scenario for me would be drafting a wide receiver at 3, even though they need wide receiver. Either get the quarterback or trade back. Please. Please don't take a wide receiver.
I think I'm locked into the idea that the first 3 picks are quarterbacks. I don't think there's any way, if you're a New England Patriots fan or a Washington Commanders fan, you're happy unless you walk away with the QB.
Right. Agreed.
I don't see the point in trading Mac Jones or trading Sam Howell to not add a QB to the roster. I think you guys are going to take QB. I think you're just waiting to see what Washington does, which, you know what I mean? If you get Drake Maye, more kudos to you. I like Drake Maye more than I like Jayden.
I can see them right now just trading back and taking friggin' Bo Nix in the team. Just
good God.
Breaking my heart.
Oh my God.
I will walk to the stadium 15 minutes down the road. I will walk there and I will burn it to the ground.
Protest. Protest.
Kraft, you've been warned. All right, Sam, 104.
I actually do think they're going to trade out of that 3rd pick.
You do?
I'm not sure. I think Minnesota's a possibility. But that's why I'm going to say with a caveat that my next pick is Drake Maye. It really pains me after all of the nice things I just said about Nabers to let him get to 5. But this is Superflex, and I personally am not in a single league where I'm so comfortable at quarterback that I can let these guys pass me by, unless the landing spot is just horrific, aka New England.
Yeah. I think you got to take a quarterback.
But I can see them trading out of that. I think they're going to have plenty of suitors. They're going to get probably 3 firsts out of the deal. I'm going to take, especially if Maye lands in Minnesota. First of all, I could see him going ahead of Daniels at that point right away. But I prefer Daniels for the floor, just out of the gate. But for longevity in the league, I'd prefer Maye. He might start off a little slower, but I think he's going to be on your team a lot longer unless Daniels can figure out how to get out of the way of a defender when they come running at him at 1 million miles an hour when he leaves the pocket. But both can throw on the run. Both have tremendous upside. Both have tremendous arm strength. We could talk the stats to death. I'm pretty sure anybody that's watching mock drafts probably could tell me something that I don't know about a guy because everybody's researched and gone down the rabbit hole on all these dudes. So,
yeah.
But they've both they both passed the eye test, regardless of where they go.
Ryan, 105. There you go.
Yeah. So it kind of becomes easy for me here.
Yeah.
I go Nabers. Obviously, I don't want to talk about him too much. We kind of just gaslit him a little bit a few minutes ago. But I think he's great. He kind of profiles to me as like a Odo Beckham-esque player, kind of like run out the catch, just get the ball in his hands and let him work. Surprisingly, struggles low-key on deep balls, so I think it's kind of where I put him in the Odo Beckham range. Just give him the ball in his hands. He's going to do something with it. That's about all I got to say about Nabers, other than what was previously said.
Yeah, he's gonna be elite for a long time, I think.
Yeah.
All right, I got the 106. I think this one's pretty easy. I think a lot of people would probably go Bowers here. I do prefer the wide receiver. He's my wide receiver 3. For me, I have Harrison and Nabers kind of in a tier by themselves, and then it's Adunze in his own tier as well, as the wide receiver 3. I think he's an excellent route runner. He's big guy, athletic. He's fantastic in the agility drills at the combine. Huge catch radius. He's kind of that Mike Evans, Drake London, Devontae Adams type of wide receiver. Your true prototypical ex-alpha wide receiver. And he's got a little dynamism to him a little bit. I saw some highlights of him returning punts. I've never seen Mike Evans return a punt. So the upside here for Rome Odunze is pretty massive.
Yeah, I think he gets knocked for not being a really good athlete, and I don't think that's fair at all. He's not 4.3, but he's the next step below that. Right. He's like high 4.4s. Like, what are we doing?
Right. At 6'3", 212, the way he moves.
Yeah. I think he's sneaky athletic in the fact that Ryan and I talked about it. Rome Odunze knows how to use his strength and his leverage in every situation when he's battling down the field. And it may not be like a hip fluidity of like an Xavier Worthy type guy or anybody like that, but Rome Odunze is smooth in and out of breaks. He can beat you man coverage one-on-one. There's no doubt about it. And then in zone coverage, he doesn't lag too long in his routes. He knows how to find the soft spots very easily and just knows how to beat you. Strong at the contested catch point. Love the way he plays in traffic. Very dynamic dude. He is my 1-3. And like he said, he's in a tier of his own for me as well.
I think he'll get a top 10 draft capital.
Yes.
And if he makes it past 9, I will be shocked.
Yeah,
that's fair. Given what's on your head,
I will be dead inside if that happens.
I mean, imagine Caleb Williams with those 3 wide receivers.
I mean, at that point, do you really need all 3 if we're being 100% honest?
Right? Well, I think it changes what they do.
I mean, I guess naturally it would be Odunze, but damn.
I think at that point, I'd be trying to trade back from 9 if I'm them.
Well, Keenan's contracts expires after this year. But I think if they don't go wide receiver, I bet they extend him for another year and lower his cap hit.
They can always take a wide receiver in the second or third round. It's a deep class.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a great class. So I just have a special spot for Odunze. I think he's awesome. I watched a lot of Washington. I had a future on them to win it all. So I just think he's a baller. I think he's like on the same tier as Marv as far as like bust proof. I just really think he's a good player.
107, Steven.
Easy pick for me here.
I figured.
Mr. Cyborg himself is going to be Brock Bowers. Ron and I talked about it. He's different at the tight end position. He quite possibly is the greatest tight end prospect I've ever seen in my lifetime, and that includes names like Vernon Davis, Hawk, Noah Fant, Eric Ebron, multiple first-round grade tight ends, Kyle Pitts, Brock Bowers, multiple 90 over PFF receiving grades, dominated the college competition, 13 touchdowns, over 800 receiving yards in his freshman year as a true breakout at 18. He's different, man. He's different.
I think that's the craziest thing is how young he was when he broke out. At tight
Right.
end.
Game one, a $127 and 2 touchdowns.
Unreal.
SEC light competition shines brightest. This kid is a future stud in the league.
All right, so the 202, or not the 202, the 108. Drew, not in the show. Drew took JJ McCarthy. He is getting steamed up draft boards like crazy over the last few weeks. I've heard him all the way up to 2, all the way up to 3. I even saw one person suggest that there's a chance the Bears take him.
Don't say that.
I don't believe that one.
Don't say
But
that
that's
to me.
how far it has gotten. Anybody got thoughts on JJ McCarthy?
If he goes to Minnesota,
That'd be excellent. I also heard a wild theory today that the Chargers are going to trade Justin Herbert to the Vikings, and they're going to draft JJ McCarthy.
whoa.
Now that would be
That
crazy.
would be
That's
dynamite.
That's not happening.
Talk about draft day.
It's
drama.
not
Oh my
happening,
God.
but it is sure fun to think about.
I got a little wild, dark horse. I think Oakland should be in the name here. I think a lot of people are forgetting about Oakland. Vegas needing a quarterback desperately. And I think this is a new way to bring in an Antonio Pierce regime. I'm just going to throw a dark horse team out there, and I think they can be in play here. I don't think anybody feels comfortable with Aiden O'Connell. I think you look out.
How about 109, Dennis?
Alrighty. So I think this is where people will start being different and who they like.
This is where the draft starts.
It's tough. Obviously, landing spot's gonna be really big. I really like Adonai Mitchell. I know there's things to be worried about, but I just think he's special. I think when he puts it all together, he looks like a star. I know there's a diabetes thing, and some people say problematic coaching. How much of that is smokescreen season? I don't know. But just watching the tape, I know and people will say when you're Wonder, but you got to remember he was there against Brock Bowers and Burton. He was there against Worthy, and I just think, and JT Sanders, and I just think he's going to be. I don't know. I like where his upside is. I think he falls to the late first round, and I would love him in Kansas City or Buffalo, Dallas. I think he, especially if he can go to a team with an established one, I think that'll be better. I know I said Buffalo, but I guess Kincaid kind of, I don't know. I just think he's going to be a really good player. Big guy. He can run routes. He can catch a lot. He scored a lot of touchdowns, even though Ewers is very not a fun watch, to put it lightly. But yeah, I have him as my wide receiver 4, and it's a little bit of projection, but that's I'm gonna stick with my board for now.
I think physically he's exceptional athlete, and he's a good route runner and everything. Just the production profile's a red flag, but there were, like you said, there were definitely reasons that you could excuse that away a little bit. He had an injury, and he had other target competition both places that he was.
His body control is ridiculous. Just the way he operates in the red zone, and the way that he just goes up. He feels like he just hangs in the air, and he adjusts to the football so well. His tracking ability is elite. I do think he has elite traits. Like Alex said, his analytical profile draws red flags to a certain degree. How coachable is he? That's a question mark for us as well. But from a pure athleticism standpoint, dude is elite, 100%.
Yeah, there's a lot of rumor he's going to end up in the top 20.
You think that high?
That'd be surprising.
I think
it's top 20.
Schefter was talking about that recently. Top 20. I wouldn't draft him that high, but it sounds like somebody's going to. All right.
They know more than us. Technically
Sam 220.
Yeah, this is you said it best. This is when everybody kind of starts deviating based on who their guys are. You know, I've got the triumvirate here. It's it's three guys that all have pluses. I think the consensus is a lot of people are real high on Brian Thomas here, but Troy Franklin is my guy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I love
And he's got the same build as Devontae Smith, and everybody would be red flagging that all over the place if not for the fact that they did it to Devontae Smith. And look at him now; he's fine. I'm not worried about that. He's got a good vertical, had a 9.78 RAS, and he's got a sub 4.4. That's good enough for me. Sure, he's got some drawbacks. I think these guys all do, but they're very minor in compared to the upside. But again, when you're talking about these guys, this is where landing spot is going to be really, really key.
Yeah.
First round, you think?
Yes.
Yeah,
Troy?
absolutely.
I could see back end or very front of the second.
How many wideouts do you think are going in the first round this year?
I think it's going to be less than people think.
It always is.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, usually is.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet it.
I'm going to go 6.
I'd say max 5.
I'm going to go 6.
I think
Mitchell might slip. I think Mitchell can slip. I think Troy can slip. I think Worthy will probably sit.
You know what? I think you're right. Now that I'm thinking in my head, I think it is going to be 6.
I'm going to go 6.
I think it's a unique situation for some of these back end guys like Mitchell, Franklin, Xavier Worthy, Brian Thomas. Is like there's some good quarterbacks that don't have receivers that can benefit being later in drafts. That being said, I'm just going to transfer my next pick. That's cool with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's Xavier Worthy here. So I thought I was going to get to talk about Troy Franklin, but I love talking about Xavier Worthy as well. I get it. He's undersized, right? But he's fast as hell. And he's not, John Ross fast as hell. He's actually he's Steven brought it up. He's got pretty solid hip fluidity. And he broke out, at least in my mind, as a freshman in the SEC. I think that shows everything you really need to know. Yeah. And we're not talking like Mountain West breakout or even ACC breakout. We're talking best of the best. The SEC freshman breakout is like something you really want to look for in anybody you're profiling. And he hit that mark for me, especially, word of already Mahomes calling him out. If he ends up with the Chiefs, could be electric. But I don't want to project a landing spot.
Yeah, there's a lot of Dolphins as well.
Could you imagine?
Oh God, that would be nuts.
Like they need any more speed.
Yeah.
Well, and if we did this mock yesterday, I might have gone Worthy before Franklin. I'm that close on those two. They just keep going back and forth in my brain.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that stuck out to me most was just like he's got dog in him. Like he lowers his shoulder a lot. Like he is not one of those guys that just like gets out of bounds or it goes down super easy. Like maybe that comes back to bite him, but I just think that like makes me less concerned about his size, just because he has just a physical mindset.
Yeah, like Ryan said, he's not John Ross at all.
No, I long for the day that people can say Xavier Worthy without saying John Ross right afterwards.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hate to do it, but it is very much the narrative out there.
Yeah, no, I mean, everybody is saying it. It's almost like it's like part of his scouting report. Yeah. But he's not John Ross.
Right. Well, he will hopefully change the narrative, so the next guy who runs in the 4.2s, they'll be like, this is awesome. Maybe he's going to be the next Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
All right.
Love it.
Final pick of the first round. I'm kind of surprised he fell this far. I would have taken him a few spots ahead. Brian Thomas Jr. I mean, this guy, we're talking about Xavier Worthy running a 4.21 at 165. At 209.63, Brian Thomas Jr. ran 4.33, which to me, that's far more impressive than 4.21 at 165. Now, he definitely has some holes in his game. He's, primarily a vertical threat at this point in his career, but I do think he can develop into a little bit more of a well-rounded wide receiver. Your prototype X on the outside who's a vertical threat. Huge catch radius, ball tracking ability is excellent. He was highly productive. I mean, it took him a couple years to get there. Highly productive playing on the opposite side of Malik Nabers. This guy has scored the most touchdowns in the nation, 17 touchdowns, playing alongside Nabers. So this one was an easy pick for me at the 112.
Had about the same yards per catch as Nabers as well.
All right.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget that Brian Thomas didn't start playing football until his 10th grade year of high school. So saying that a late bloomer type guy had to play behind Keon, had to play behind Nabers, then got his chance in 2023, led the FBS in touchdowns. Like we say, late bloomers, it's kind of hard to project what they're going to be. I think there are some red flags in his analytical profile as well in certain areas. But I think he has in this range between AD, Franklin, Worthy, and Tom and himself, I think he has the highest upside.
Yeah, if he puts it all together, I agree.
Yes, I do. I will give him that credit because he is an athletic beast. He's a physical specimen in that aspect as well. I just want to see him put it all together.
And we talk about him as a late bloomer, but he's still only 21 years old. So
True.
He's still got a ways to go to develop and everything.
Yep.
All right, second round. Let's kick it off, Steven. 201.
I'm going to take my running back one here, Mr. Jonathan Brooks. I've been bouncing back between him and Trey Benson. I think in a real draft, I'm going to go with the healthier running back between the two. But Jonathan Brooks shined bright in his very lone year of SEC competition. Actually scored on 14.9, average of 14.9 touches as opposed to Bijan's 16.3 in Bijan's junior year. Not saying he's Bijan. He has a 90 overall PFF rushing grade last year before he took the ACL injury. Receiving back as well, has upside in the receiving game. I'm a big fan of his game, fan of his patience, fan of his overall burst, his athleticism. I think he's going to be a steal for a team on day two, and you need to watch out where he goes.
All right. Well, speaking of Trey Benson, Drew took Trey Benson at the 201. I do have them flipped. I do have Benson, but I do have them ranked back to back. And I think if it wasn't for the ACL, Brooks would be my RB1. I have concerns that this is a guy who's never stepped on an NFL field. If he's not ready for training camp, these coaches, you know how the coaches are. They've never seen this guy play before. They've never seen him in practice. They've never seen him play on an NFL field. So he's not just going to be handed the job like a Breece Hall. Breece Hall, they were able to ease him into the season, hand him the job, full go, 5-6 weeks into the year. That's not going to happen in my mind with Jonathan Brooks as a rookie. There's danger. I don't think it's going to happen, but there is danger that we get a Kendre Miller type rookie season from Jonathan Brooks.
It's fair.
It hurts. Oh, Kendre.
Yeah. I think we all love him.
We all like Miller too.
Yeah.
So I'm up, and so I got the QB earlier. So even though I do really, really like Michael Penix, I'm going to go with a wide receiver. I'm going to take Ladd. I like him. He's separation specialist. I always love that. Don't love his wingspan. Typically, I like wide receivers to have a larger than just a 72-inch wingspan. But I do think that he, I think his floor is high. Like, I think he's going to be an NFL player. I wonder if he's going to be a fantasy superstar. I don't know how much upside he has, but I'm pretty confident he's going to be a really, really good player. Better athlete than I thought he was going to be. And then, I people that can produce at Georgia when they're constantly running the ball, I think that says something. And the stuff that, he can do well. He's a good athlete. He can get open. He has good hands. I do worry about his durability. He's been banged up a bunch. His leaner frame. So, again, durability concerns. But I think he's going to be good. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I agree with what you said about his upside. I'm not really sure how far he has to go. But it might be one of those cases where, if you're not absolutely in love with the guy, but he has just an unbelievable first season, it's likely that that's the highest his value is ever going to be. So, if you love him, you hold on to him. And if you are pretty neutral on him, you might even flip him for other draft picks or somebody you like better later on, just based on the season he has his first year coming out, before whatever team that picks him up adds somebody else too. It's just my thought.
I think you're right. Yeah, he's definitely a guy who you'll be able to flip. I think he's that type of player that there are certain people who are going to fall in love with him.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's right or wrong, he is that type of player.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Sam. 104 or 204.
Well, I already took a quarterback in the first round, but my next three, when there's only 4 rounds, you pick your favorites and you get your guys. And if you have to draft them early or late, you do so. I'm not a big fan of Penix. I am a big fan of Bo Nix. You show me some of his raw talent once he got to after not progressing for so long and then all of a sudden blowing up. And I don't think that was an aberration. I think it was just a product of being in the right system with the right coaches. And I don't care who you are, or what kind of competition you're playing against. 45 touchdowns to 3 interceptions I heard that was pretty good. And I would like my quarterback to keep interceptions down. So if he's that kind of decision maker, and I know he's got good field position, that's a guy that I'm okay if someone drafts him and he lies in wait and doesn't start right away. I already took Daniels in the first. I know he's going to start from the jump. So I'm okay waiting on another guy and letting him pan out. He's gonna.
Yeah.
Roast away.
You gotta click his name, buddy.
Oh, sorry.
Name the board.
Wait. After all that,
What?
After all that, you took
And having said all that,
What just happened?
I'm taking Michael Penix.
What is going on?
was that intentional?
No. Oh, no, it wasn't. Oh, shit. Can you fix that? Come in.
Yeah. All right. Draft Bo Nix. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Draft Bo Nix, man.
Bo Nix is going to be 50 years old by the time you draft him.
You got to click Bo Nix.
Sam, wake up, brother. Sleep with the
I
wheel.
was just going to put it in. Okay.
You drafted.
I know it is.
Oh my God.
I got this. Don't you worry. I got this.
The age thing does not concern me.
I told you this was going to go off the rails. All
Too
right.
many factors. Too many people going on.
All right. We did it.
Lordy.
Bo Nix.
Anyway, I appreciate you for going to get your guy. I will say that. I think Penix is probably my guy for the next quarterback, but I think at this point it gets pretty close to me. Bo Nix is a great game manager, and I won't say that, but I think he kind of speaks on the same line like JJ McCarthy and Bo Nix are like two game manager-esque players. I don't hate it, but also don't love it because I don't think Bo Nix is ever going to do anything like special for you at the next level, given he could, pan out. But nonetheless,
after starting for 6 years, I think he's probably peaked at this point.
Wow.
I mean, he was
Again,
basically
but
backing
again,
up
he was
Cam
in a
Newton.
crummy
Auburn.
situation too.
True.
But isn't that probably where he's going to end up in the pros?
Right.
Another situation.
Yeah, but he can
Later.
still sit. But he can sit behind somebody and learn. Penix is going to get thrown right into the fire, and if he flops, it's going to be like the Raiders did with Aiden O'Connell, and they're going to draft somebody else the next year.
Yeah.
It's fair. It's fair. Anyway, I feel like I've drafted this guy in 7 of these 9 mocks that I've participated in. He just keeps falling to me, and I can't pass up on him. He was my RB3 last year. He's my RB3 this year. Not much changes for him. I think Blake Corum is a fine runner. He's patient, does things right at the position. I think, he's a little muscle hamster, kind of like Doug Martin type player, which, are far and few between, I won't lie. But I think Blake Corum as a runner is pretty solid. I got nothing bad to say about Blake Corum.
Yeah, I think where do you think he's going to go? Second round?
Second round. I don't see any, honestly, unless the Cowboys do something, I don't think any running backs can go in the first round. I think they're all going to be second, third round picks.
All right. So I guess you're going to make me draft Michael Penix Jr.
Yes,
Really didn't want to do it, but it's like, yes, we got to.
I could make him go back, and you could take
He's been-
Nix.
It's the third time he's been drafted. Yeah, for me, between Penix and Nix, I don't like either one of them, honestly. But these are going to probably be first round quarterbacks. And I think when you get to actual rookie drafts, after they get their actual draft capital, they're probably going to go higher than this.
Yeah.
And between Nix and Penix, certainly think Penix has a lot more flaws in his game, but he has a lot higher ceiling. So in that case, I am going to lean towards Michael Penix. So I would have drafted him over Nix. Anybody have thoughts on Penix, or you want to just move on to the 207?
Where do you guys have these 2 quarterbacks on your big board? Do you think they're first round picks in rookie drafts?
Let's see. I got Penix 12 overall and Nix 13 overall. Basically for the reasons that I said.
I got Penix 12 as well.
It's like a value thing.
Right. You just got to take the chance.
Yeah. Because quarterbacks, I mean, in the Superflex League, they hold value a lot better than other positions, and they gain value a lot better than other positions. In many cases, not everybody, but all right. 207.
Well, go get your guys, boys. That's the message of today. Let me go get me some Javon.
Too early.
No, sir. Never too early for your boy.
Whoa.
I thought you were going Theo Johnson.
No Theo. Now Javon Baker
Theo Johnson strikes again.
Javon Baker is my wide receiver 8. I've been high on Javon Baker for a long time. And here we are. We're going to take him at wide receiver 9. I don't think I'm going to get a chance to draft him with you savages following the way back. So I'm going to take my guy here. I know Sam would have taken him right there at the nice little 44 spot.
Yep.
Wow, that's crazy.
Now, where do you think
somebody that's risen up a lot of these boards?
I would say
Roman Wilson. Okay.
I feel like Roman's another guy that, like, not the highest of ceilings, but should be a solid player throughout his career.
Yeah, it was when we wrote about Roman Wilson, it's really hard to dive into the Michigan players because of the volume that's allocated in Michigan, especially in the passing game. We could talk all day about Blake Corum and his 9,000 handoffs he saw at Michigan throughout his career. You know what I mean? But when you look at Roman Wilson and you look at JJ McCarthy, you really have to dive in and see what they do well. And the best part about Roman Wilson is very low drop percentage, very, very tough receiver. And I love the fact that he can block and block so well. I think that's going to allocate to early playing time, which also leads to fantasy success. I was a fan of Roman Wilson.
Yeah, I think he'll be a slot guy, but I think he's a little bit more than just your like prototypical slot guy. I think he can do a little bit more. I mean, he's got 4.41 speed, 4.39 speed.
Yeah.
I think he can get downfield. he's going to be a guy. He wins a lot on crossing routes, shallow, deep crossing routes. I think that'll be his role in the NFL as well. So I think that was a good pick by Drew at the 208.
Right pick there.
All right, Dennis, 209.
All right, take another one of my guys. Another one I watched a lot of real life games. I like Keon Coleman, man. Again, I know analytically people are going to be concerned over his speed, but just watching him and how I think he's going to win in the NFL, I just think he's really going to be like a weapon inside the slot when they put him there. I think he can be an X, but I would not want that, at least not immediately. I would try to find him some ways to maybe, have easier success. So whether that's Z or in the slot. But yeah, he's huge, which is always good. I like my wide receivers to have a basketball background. I think that's good for release packages. It just is something footwork. They're used to being one-on-one and using creativity and mixing up their moves because they know if they get repetitive, they won't be able to, find that same success. But yeah, I think it is a real concern, his speed. Don't get me wrong. I definitely would be thinking twice, making sure that I'm checking those, like his GPS and what were his top speeds. Because if he's not getting to 21, 22, that's a problem. But man, he has some highlight plays on his film. He just can do some things that certain people can't. And so if you can see it once, then they can do it again. And so I really like Keon Coleman. I think he's getting too much hate.
Yeah, I'm not that concerned about his speed. We've seen plenty of guys like Allen Robinson who don't run that fast, do really well. I'm more worried about how many of his targets were contested. I mean, can he separate?
Yeah.
That's my concern. Is he going to be N'Keal Harry? That's my worry.
He can't be N'Keal Harry. He's not that athletic. N'Keal Harry was an athletic beast. He just couldn't separate from anything. Yeah. But I don't know.
I'm surprised that's not like he who shall not be named for you, Alex. N'Keal.
That's
got to be hurtful.
That was heartbreaking because one, I loved him from a fantasy. I was drafting him like crazy in Dynasty that year. And then for him to go to the Patriots, I was so happy when they drafted him. And man, did that not work out at all. That was heartbreaking for sure.
There you go, Steve.
Hey man, I just want to say this. If you're not watching any UCF tape, start digging in. You may like him, but how much do you really like him? Go get your guys. Don't be afraid to go get your guys in these drafts. I've been on the standpoint that Javon Baker is my wide receiver 8 for months now. You just don't back off your standpoints.
Do you think he's going to get second round, third round draft capital? Do you think he's going to fall day 3? He's got a wide range.
Yeah, he does have a wide range. I'm hoping from what I see on tape and for the way that, us as fantasy analysts are drooling over Javon Baker, I hope it replicates into the draft success as well. I'm hoping for day 2 capital. I'm going to predict, I'm hoping top 70 as a top 70 overall pick. I don't know. I've seen like the PFF draft mocks. They have him at like 95. I don't think he's that low. There's receivers that I don't like more than Javon Baker that are going ahead of him. So we'll see.
The beast is not very complimentary of him. Wide receiver 20. 4th round grade. I think that's Dan Kruger, right?
Wow.
Yeah, I've seen people rank him top 10. I've seen people rank him outside the top 20. It's kind of all over the place. But I would imagine some NFL teams probably going to love him. So he's probably going to go. I would imagine day 2, probably 3rd round.
I don't want to delve into it too much. You can just kind of move past it. But like, I'm curious for myself, is you have him at 8, and there's 9 receivers off the board. Who are you taking on this that has gone already? Who are you taking Baker over?
I'm taking Baker See, like I have Baker wide receiver 8, so like I'm lower on AD Mitchell. I have McConkey wide receiver 7, Javon wide receiver 8, and then I have AD wide receiver 9.
Okay.
Like I said, there's just some
where
there's just some things about AD Mitchell that really scare me off a little bit. And it's more of just an analytical standpoint with like the personal mix of health going into it now. But it's not a knock on AD Mitchell at all. I do think there is elite potential in his profile, but there are things that scare me.
Yeah. Sorry, Sam.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the wide receiver well here, and I'm going to go with Jalen Polk. His tape doesn't really thrill me. I think he needs to be in a situation where he gets coached up a little more. So I'm not taking him with the assumption that I'm going to have to start him every day or every week right off the bat. But I do think he's got a tremendous growth potential. He's got a ways he can go. He might even end up being a third-year breakout guy as far as at the NFL level. But I do love his contested catch ability, which is probably going to make him a red zone target, at least early in his career, even if he's not seeing the lion's share of the snaps on that offense, wherever he ends up. But again, he's another one where I'll stay away from him if he goes to the completely wrong situation and he's, way down the depth chart, or if I think he's going to be. But like I said, I'm reasonably neutral on him, but I believe in his growth potential.
Yeah, he's one of the more underrated wide receivers in the class for sure. Peter Schrager, I believe, mocked him in the first round. 32.
Wow. I did. I saw him mock to Kansas.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that would be a surprise.
I don't think that'll happen, but
no.
I agree with everything you said. Contested catches, catch radius, route running.
Does it give you Bobby Tree vibes?
Bobby Trees, Robert Woods.
It reminds me of Bobby
Trees.
So my comp, I have him as Josh Palmer.
Okay.
Oh.
Kind of just like that.
Solid.
Hangs around.
Good, not special type guy.
Agreed. I'd poke them, especially this far in. He's worth a shot for sure.
Did you say I'd polk him?
That's what I heard too.
We'll go with
exactly what I
heard.
I'd
polk him.
I'd polk him. Welcome.
It's a family program, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be a PG program, Ron.
No, sorry.
It's not.
We've already rang off how many customers at this point. Give me a break.
I don't cuss. I'm just saying I'm a God-fearing Christian guy.
Well, if Zach was here, we'd have to have the button ready to delay the plug at any moment, because who knows what he's going to say.
Nonetheless, for me, this is wide receiver range all day. Now, so much of this comes down to landing spot after the draft. Some of it that has fallen can change in an instant. One day out, Friday, these mocks could be completely different. But right now, at this point in the draft, I'm feeling comfortable drafting Xavier Legette.
Interesting.
Now, I don't like making excuses for fantasy football players or football players in general. Excuse me. But Legette's kind of had it tough in college. His freshman year, couldn't really find a spot. He had a death in the family, the COVID year. South Carolina's never really had a great quarterback until Spencer came in. Like I said, excuses, I don't love him for players. But this man is a freak athlete. There's no way he should be running the 40 time that he does at his height and weight and strength. We're looking at like a DK massive upside. Now, is he going to be DK? Can't expect that out of him. Absolutely not. But the profile is there. I think, at least we got to see him break out a little bit once he got an actual quarterback at the position. At this point in the draft, I'm throwing a flyer out for Legette.
Yeah. Yep. At least he did something. I mean, he does have that athleticism, the size. But man, 5 years.
I know he's not. Trust me, Alex. I made it easy for you here. I know you would never draft him. He's not one of your guys, but
yeah, I've got him. I think I've got him probably higher than you would expect me to have him. Looking at my rankings, pulling them up real quick. Wide receiver 12.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's
he's just had it rough. He's lost both his parents.
He had
And,
a real rough in
and then
college.
he played a year in high school at quarterback because he was from a really small school, right? So
He did, but he
there's
he
some
played-
reasons, like you
he
were
did
saying.
play wide receiver for 2 years before he switched to quarterback in high
Yeah.
school.
So
And not, I mean, I have empathy for the guy, but I would say about 70% of these guys have some type of story that
It's true.
maybe not as traumatic as his, but we could make excuses for a lot of guys.
Right.
you know,
5
ESPN's gonna
years
run
of
with that
doing
right
no
away.
production. Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. That brings me up here. All right. So this is what, the
212.
212. Okay. I'm gonna go Braylon Allen. He is the opposite of Xavier Legette, where he produced from the second that he stepped on the field. I mean, this guy was basically high school age. He was high school age. He was 17 years old. And he was putting up like 1,200 rushing yards at Wisconsin as a true freshman. Now, it would have been nice to have seen him kind of build on that instead of just repeating it year over year. I would have liked to see him, break out further beyond what he did, kind of develop a little bit more. But I can't overlook a guy who was so dominant as from a production standpoint at such a young age. I do wish he would have run at the 40 during his combine or during his pro day. That's definitely a red flag to me, because does he know that he's going to run slow? So he's just not running. Seems to me like a kind of a smart business decision, but red flag from a athletic standpoint. Any thoughts on Braylon Allen? I feel like he fell a little bit far here.
Yeah, he's one of the most accomplished Big Ten running backs, in this day and age. He broke into it at 17 years old. He's still only 20 when he's going into the draft. When you think about Big Ten running backs, you got
turned 20.
Just turned 20, right? Exactly. I mean, you could think about Jonathan Taylor. You can think about Melvin Gordon. There's a lot of Big Ten running backs that stand out, but Braylon Allen is up there as like one of the most accomplished Big Ten running backs in modern history that we've seen. Size, strength, athleticism for how big he is. He's kind of labeled as a north-south runner, which is not really fair to him in certain aspects. He's so young, and from a developmental standpoint, I don't think he's all the way there yet, but I do think he has massive upside.
I don't know if he has massive upside, but I do think he's going to be a solid player. My comp for him is A.J. Dillon. I think he's going to be better than A.J. Dillon, but that's kind of like the style of player that I envision from Braylon Allen. Steven, you want to take it at the 301?
Yeah, I'm going to take my what would he be here in this CB running back 5?
Oh.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take MarShawn Lloyd out of USC. I do know that in South Carolina, he never really gained his footing. We go into 2023. He never really saw a real true workhorse running back load in college. But it's hard to look off after the 7.1 yards per carry he had last year, 6 in the Pac-12 and touchdowns as well with 9. Back-to-back seasons with 9 touchdowns, 18 touchdowns on the ground. Not much of a receiving profile. I think his highest receptions in college was 13. Nothing great. But at the same time, I like it. I like this kid. I like how tough he runs. I like his athleticism. I like his burst. I like his profile. He's not an undersized back. Comes in at 5'10", 215. Big fan of his.
Yeah, I like him. He's my RB6. I think we're kind of betting on the athletic profile for him.
Yeah, a lot of that.
Right.
What was that?
302?
3-2?
So that was Jalen Wright. Drew took Jalen Wright at 302.
Yep.
He same thing, banking on the athletic profile.
That's the blind Alvin Kamara right there, baby.
Definitely betting on the upside of Jalen Wright. I mean, you say blind, but dude, still, I will never let it down. Ran over 7 yards per carry. That's still just wild to me.
Bro, he led the SEC in tackles in the backfield. He's fucking blind as shit.
Okay, but he also was facing like the fewest stacked boxes as well, so that makes that even worse.
It's fair. Yeah,
Look,
there's also that.
I'm just telling you, if he had 20/20 vision, we'd be talking about him as Alvin Kamara. I've never
like
liked
James
him.
Winston go get some LASIK or something. Good God.
I'm telling you, Ryan, you know this. I've never liked Jalen Wright.
He's got to hit up Jameis Winston for his
That's
LASIK.
what- yeah.
Squinson.
Jameis Squinson.
Mhm.
All right, Dennis, who you got at the 303?
Torn here.
To one of the front
We're
of
gonna
the
pick
third.
our third Husky. Well, fourth. I like McMillan a lot. I think he can do a lot of things really well. He kind of, had a better 22 than 23 with that injury. That definitely hurt him. But he was kind of more of the guy than even Rome was. Higher recruit, kind of more productive. It was just weird. I don't know how serious those injuries are. I always, even if they're playing, what level are they playing at? You know what I mean? So he seems like a slot guy, and I think that's fine. And I think he can do a lot of things really well. I think slot fades and things like that are definitely parts of his game that not every slot guy has. I think he's nuanced. I think he has really good hands, good body control. Yeah, I just think he's a solid player, and I think I think he's kind of being slept on a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he averaged 6 receptions per game in 2022, and then we just saw a big drop off. Injuries, Adunze, Polk, all makes it difficult. Who's up next? Sam?
Yeah, I'm gonna reach a little bit here, but again, just because I don't want to risk him getting taken, I'm not even sure if he would. But this is arguably my biggest guy at wide receiver, and that's Malachi Corley. I'm not sure where somebody's going to line him up, and I think that's a good thing. I think they could put him in several different spots. The key is just to get the ball in his hands, because I saw a thing the other day that said he had just, like, in a certain number of days, he sat down with this many teams. And I'm like, how did any of those teams, like, nail him down for long enough? Because, like, he's impossible to tackle. He's impossible to get in the same place, for more than about 3 seconds before he's off like a bat out of hell right away. And he's fun to watch play. So, I think his ceiling is ridiculous. Now, his floor is probably ridiculous too. He could be a complete non-factor, but he's just too athletic, man. And he's too quick when he's got the ball in his hands. He's just running away from people.
I mean, I know it was Western Kentucky, and they were all like 5-yard receptions, but this guy caught 180 passes over the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
There's something to say for that.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also, thank you very much for talking about Malachi Corley without mentioning the name Deebo Samuel. I appreciate that.
Get that out of here.
That goes along with the John Ross Xavier Worthy.
Yes, thank you.
Line of thinking.
Thank you. Yes.
Sorry.
Anybody else got something to say on Malachi Corley before we move on?
Yeah, real quick before I make my pick, I love his profile, but I've said it and said it again. He just too much of. I think I said it in our mock draft with you, Sam. It's too much Treylon Burks in there for me. I don't want to get burned twice. Now, given you're getting him a lot lower, but he kind of reminds me of the same way he was using Western Kentucky, the way Treylon was using Arkansas. Not saying the same player, but
yes, I could see that.
It scares me away.
Small school Treylon Burks. You don't want small school Treylon Burks.
Yeah.
Me and Ryan love Treylon Burks.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We got bit so hard.
I did too.
Sad. But nonetheless, here, we're getting up on the hour mark here, so I'm just going to kind of breeze past this. I'm honestly surprised he's still here. I'm going Ricky Pearsall. Now, is he stuck forever in the slot in the NFL? Probably. That's who he is, right? But he can create some serious separation in the slot. I think he's got a real shot to do something compared to, some of the other guys back in here. I don't hate on picks or anything, but at least you can look at him and say he's going to be at least a solid slot guy for a team. Now, will that translate to fantasy relevancy. Maybe, maybe not. But Ricky Pearsall was split too far from me in my mind.
I agree.
That was the guy I was debating with McMillan about.
Okay.
It's like,
He would have been my pick. All right. So since you took Pearsall, I'm gonna take. And this, when I watch Steven and Ryan, when I watch your mock drafts, I see this guy fall way too far all the time. Sometimes he doesn't even get drafted. Dylan Laube from New Hampshire. This guy, I know he's a small school guy, but he is he was incredibly productive over the last 2 years. Again, I know it's New Hampshire, but this guy is exceptional in the passing game. I mean, he caught 68 passes in 2023 as a running back. I mean, 49 the year before. I think his ceiling is going to be Austin Eckler. I don't know if he's ever going to get there, but he can run between the tackles. He's got decent size at 206. Excellent receiver. One of the best receiving backs in the class. Anybody else like Dylan Laube, or is it just me?
Love him. I was going to take him at 4 here.
All right, good.
I like him as well.
All right, excellent. All right, let's move
One
on.
of the more notable undrafted players in our mocks.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, I think part of it is Sleeper has him so buried.
Yeah.
That I think he just gets forgotten. All right, Steven, who you got at the 307?
Well, I want to change my thought process here, to be honest. I want to talk about a player who I think has the upside to be talked about in the top 12 of these wide receivers here. A lot of off-the-field issues, a lot of character concerns with this wide receiver. But as you break down his analytical profile and you break down his reception perception chart and things like this, he grades as a first or second round, wide receiver here. I do think he's going to be a day 2 guy, maybe day 3, just due to the character issues and concerns. I'm a big fan of Jermaine Burton. When I'm in the late parts of these drafts and I'm shooting for upside, I think this player screams upside.
Kenny Stills is my call.
Wow.
I don't know if
that a lot.
I think that was a good thing.
So
Yeah.
It's not a very good thing, but nonetheless.
I've just become a big Jermaine Burton guy. I just hope that he can figure it out. Obviously, a lot of NFL teams are worried about his character concerns here. So
I do think he can be more than a speed guy.
yeah, career 18 yards per catch.
Yep.
Solid guy. Had a lot of competition throughout his collegiate career, especially at Georgia down there. But I do like Jermaine Burton.
All right, so at the 308, Drew took Ben Sinnott, tight end. Dennis, who you got at the 108?
Call me a homer because I watched a lot of Notre Dame, but I'm a big fan of Audric Estime. He just keeps getting better and better. And so I love his size. I thought he showed a lot of explosiveness and just overall athletic ability. I know his testing wasn't great, but he didn't look slow when I watched the game. So I was surprised. I guess Kyron Williams made something in the Notre Dame water, making him run slow. But the rest of the stuff's really good. He's got the 10.5 broad, nearly 40 vertical jump. He's got a good wingspan. And like I said, he went from a good 22 to just an insane 2023. And I think obviously the landing spot is huge. He's going to go day 3, so where he ends up will be a big deal, but I would love him in a place like Tampa Bay or something like that to pair with Rashad White. Yeah, I think he could play. And so at this point, I'm just grabbing players that I think could have a role, right? Whether it's goal line.
Better or worse career than Alexander Madison?
Ooh.
I mean, Madison, did he ever get 4 yards per carry?
Yeah, he did.
He did? Okay. I was not, other than saying Alexander Madison, I wasn't a big fan of his game. So I'm going to go with better.
Okay. All right,
Did you
let's
see
move
him without
on.
a shirt? I mean, without pads on, he's yoked up. Estimate is massive.
Yeah.
Sam, 110.
That's two guys
310.
in this round that or my back-to-back guys that got swept out from under me. So I was really at this point, like all the running backs, especially with all the free agent signings last year, showing that they're going, oh, wait a second, about running backs being too old anymore. I'm really leery of this class, with the exception of guys that can just wrestle a starting gig away from somebody. And I think those guys are all off the board at this point. So what I want in a running back is somebody that's going to produce. That's why I liked Lobby so much. I'm going to go, I guess, the rich man's Lobby. Well, not if it's New Hampshire. Poor man's Lobby. I'll go Will Shipley here. It's the second time I've taken him in a mock, because I do believe he could come in and at the very least be a third down pass catching back for some team. I made a joke about him going to Denver, but somebody will find a place for him to at least catch the ball out of the backfield. I don't think he'll ever be an RB1 in this league, but we're in flyer area anyway at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wish we had some testing numbers on him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, these guys dodged this year. It's so weird to me.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if they're hiding something.
But you want to know what the real reason is? It's because this guy here, right? We're talking Bucky Irvin. This is why these guys aren't running these things, right? Bucky did run. He did test. He didn't test well, and guess what? He's plummeted.
Yeah.
He has fallen far. At this point in the draft, I'm 100% taking him just off what I see in the tape. If anything, he can find the hole, which is something that's kind of hard to translate into the league. And he's pretty decisive when he goes. And he also had, 56 catches last year. He can also catch the ball in the backfield. I think Bucky, at this point, I'm not mad at it at all.
All right. Last pick of the third round. Debating between two guys here. You know what? I think I'm going to go with the ceiling play here a little bit.
Ooh.
Isaac Guerrero, Louisville. Dude never started a game in his life. But man, is he big and he is athletic. This is the exact type of running back, minus the production, exact type of running back. That's a big part of it. Exact type of running back that I like. I mean, 6 feet, 221, runs 4.33. He's an exceptional athlete. He's got decent hands. He's good in pass protection. I think he's got a little, without the crazy hardcore running style, he's got a little Pacheco in him. He just needs an opportunity. I don't know if he'll ever get it, but if he ever does, he could be one of the more dangerous running backs in the league.
Yeah, for it. Just find the opportunity. That's a lot of things with all these late round backs is like just find a window of opportunity for them and see what they can do.
Yeah, at this point in the rookie draft, I'm just taking the swing.
Yeah.
All right, that brings us back to Steven, 401. Maybe we go rapid fire for the last round.
Yep. Malik Washington, one of my favorite late round wide receivers here. Really stands out, 100 yards in 10 of his last 11 games down at the UVA. I know Ryan here is a Virginia Tech fan, but big fan of Malik Washington, big fan of his focus and his poise in the slot, smooth, buttery hands, plays the position very well. Very, very good receiver. I think you can get late.
And at the 402, Drew went with Devontae Walker, another vertical guy. We hope that he can develop into more. Dennis, you kind of seemed upset about that pick. Is that who you're going to take?
Yeah, that was what I was going to do. Like just upside. Who knows at this point? I just want to take someone that he might get a second contract or he might be done, but I think he shows some things that are really nice.
Just hope he's not Diami Brown.
Yeah, basically.
Diami
Brown did have that one game.
Did have one game.
He did have that one game. I'm gonna go Sanders. That Texas offense was hard to interpret, but I just think he's got some traits that could translate really well. And if you miss out on the Brock Bowers lottery, I think he's a reasonable flyer at tight end. Probably goes day 2.
Now, Drew took Ben Sinnott ahead of Jatavian Sanders. Would anybody else do that? For me, I have Sanders ranked ahead of Sinnott.
I do too.
Sanders, yeah.
I'm not drafting any tight ends besides Bowers.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Which is hard because I don't think there are hardly any coming out next year either. So,
well, we can't complain. We had some damn good tight ends come out the last couple of years.
So true.
About time we have some talent to work with.
I'll go here. I'll take Ray Davis. I think he's got a chance to pop in and pick up a couple downs here and there, or even, an entire series here and there. I could see him going somewhere like, Tampa Bay said earlier this offseason they were going to get somebody to help out Rachaad White, and that somebody is not on the roster. So I could totally see somebody filling in and just taking a down or two here and there, and he's good out of the backfield as well. So I'll take the flyer on him.
That's who I was debating with when I took Orlando.
Yeah, he moves well. So.
All right, moving on. I'm going to keep this rapid fire theme going. At this point, especially at this point, you're just taking your guys. I'm a Cowan guy. Some people can look at that as a bad pick, but I like him. He had some serious production in college. I mean, he lit up the Senior Bowl. I think he can profile someone who can maybe have a chance at it. This far in the round, the hit rate on these rookies is so young. The hit rate is so bad on these like back end 3rd, 4th round guys. It's kind of like just take your guy and hope he pans out. Cowing's that for me.
All right. My next pick at the 406, I'm going to go with another kind of a deep sleeper, I think. Kamani Vidal from Troy.
Nice.
Again, this is just like my type of running back. 213, 4.46 speed. He's got good size adjusted athleticism overall. And dude, this guy was productive. Again, I know it was at Troy, but he ran for 4,000 yards in his career. Most of that came with the last 2 years. 92 career receptions. I think he's going to be a late round guy. Could go undrafted, but to me, he's got that Jaylen Warren feel. I think he's going to be a guy that emerges, as the number 2 somewhere that just is under the radar, and all of a sudden, whoa, Kamani Vidal is, fantasy relevant.
Yeah. You get the same situation with Keaton Mitchell last year.
Right. Yeah. Steven.
It's the 4th round, right?
It is the 4th round. You got the 407.
Anybody want to say the same time? There you go.
Yeah, if you read my profile breakdown on yards per fantasy for Theo Johnson, as you'll know, I'm a big Theo fan here. It's not mostly for what you see on the tape for the stats, as a correlation, but I've been following him since 2019. Big fan of this kid. Size, speed, overall, one of the highest RAS scores ever produced for the tight end position. I think from that standpoint, in the 4th round, when you throw a dart, Theo Johnson is my guy. Has always been my guy. And again, don't change your stakes.
So Drew's not even in the stream, and he has sniped Dennis on back-to-back picks. Luke McCaffrey. 408. Luke McCaffrey plays exactly how you would picture Christian McCaffrey's little brother to play wide receiver.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing. I'm just counting on a work ethic. I think he's going to be a pro.
Yeah.
I think he knows what to expect. So I just think he's solid. I guess I will do the thing.
Ooh, do the thing.
There he is.
Eventually, right? Somebody's gonna take him, and nothing really needs to be said. He's got a live arm. Can he put it together? Who knows? But he's definitely he definitely earned back some credit that he lost at Oklahoma. I think he did better than people thought he would.
I don't think he ever panned out exactly what people thought he was going to be. I think he was the 1 or 2 out of his class as senior in high school. Never really panned out. 1, yeah.
QB1.
Yeah.
But, I mean, 4th round is Superflex, though. That's cash.
We all remember the Red River. We all remember the Red River game, man.
Yeah.
So unfortunate.
Taxi.
So unfortunate.
What happens?
All right, I'm going back to my guys, especially in the 4th round. Take Tyrone Tracy.
Okay.
Spent 4 years as a wide receiver. Obviously, you've seen probably more clips of those than you did at Purdue. But the guy's just he's got great physicality. He's great running with the football. He's a little raw. I don't really know how much he's going to contribute right off the bat, but he could definitely contribute in the kick return game for sure, because he's got a really, really good ability of making guys miss. And he's one of my guys. I could probably, in a lot of drafts I'm in, pick him up as a free agent after the draft is over, but it's not going to be any stronger a flyer than whoever else I'm going to take at this spot.
Yeah, my comp for him, I was going between him and one other guy for my next pick. So you made it easy for me. My comp for him is Rachaad White. I don't know if he's ever going to develop to that point as a runner, but he's got the receiving skills and the size. And the guy caught 113 passes in college. Obviously, he was a wide receiver, but Brian,
I could see him being a gadget guy too.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be versatile for sure. I think NFL teams will definitely value that, and that could get him drafted. That versatility.
Yeah. So I'm in a bad spot right now, honestly. All my guys that I actually like, Tracy being the last one, are off the board at this point. Now I'm just kind of shooting in the dark, if I'm being 100% honest with you, the 411. So I'll pick a guy that at least I know some things about. I hate to do a gimme pick, but I'm going Cody Schrader here. Don't hate it, don't love it, but at this point in the draft, man, you're probably putting him on your taxi and just praying at this point.
You're hoping somebody says like, "Oh, I wanted Schrader," so you could hit him up trade right after the draft is over.
All you need is for him to be a backup running back. The guy in front of him to get hurt for a couple weeks, he gets a shot, and you can
find a window to sell, baby.
Trade him.
Yep.
That's all you need with these running backs, just an opportunity. All right, last pick of the draft, 412. I'm gonna go with another running back. I like running backs in the later rounds of these rookie drafts. I'm gonna go Isaiah Davis.
I was going to Minnesota.
South Dakota State. Not quite as athletic as the other 2 running backs that I drafted last couple rounds, but he is big, 6 feet, 218. Runs in the 4.5. It's not too bad. Good size, power, decent vision, and patience. And he does have some receiving skills. He caught 10% of the passes in the offense last year. So yeah, wrapping up with Isaiah Davis. What do you guys think? How this draft go? What was your favorite pick of your draft?
Dude,
Theo Johnson, baby.
I was amazed to get Nabers and Worthy in the first 2.
Yeah, that's
I guess. Pretty good start. Yeah. I guess we can't roast each other for the worst pick of the draft, huh? Dang, me and Steve normally roast one person. We can't do that tonight.
Worst pick of the draft.
Is there a worst pick? I always say my out. Always is Keon Coleman. I just don't like it. There's nothing against you. I swear. he's off my board completely.
Really?
Even if he's sitting there at like the 4-1, I'm still like,
Out
okay,
early.
maybe 4-1's pushing it a little bit. I can't. Let me not say that, but I'm not taking it with any confidence at all.
What if you win the first round? Would that make a difference to you?
I guess so. I mean, if he lands with like in some way like the Bills and the Chiefs, I guess you get moved up a little bit. But as far as like talent wise goes, I'm just not selling the talent. That's all it really is.
Everybody said the same thing about Jonathan Mingo last year. You had to have him. I never saw the hype behind Mingo either. Keon Coleman is one of those players as well. I think the best like two value picks here, in my opinion. One, I want to point out Ricky Pearsall.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I actually want to point out to your draft, I love the pick Aldrich Estime there at the 6'3". Huge value for me. Those two picks stand out really nicely.
Mm-hmm.
But those are great picks there for me as well.
My favorite pick of the draft. I don't know. Should I say my own pick?
Yeah, always.
I would have to say probably Malik Nabers at the 105 is pretty damn good. Even though I don't think I would have taken him earlier than that because I would have taken the quarterbacks, but 105 just feels so good for Malik Nabers, a guy who's you're gonna get elite production from, I think, for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any picks that I really hated. I wouldn't take Troy Franklin quite as high as he went. I'm not a huge Xavier Legette fan, but I'm fine with where he went. I think we had a pretty good draft.
I did a draft with 10 guys live the other day, and it's like everybody just ignored Legette. He didn't get drafted.
Yeah, I think
people are scared of him.
Yeah, I think it gets to a point where you have to. A guy like Coleman, a guy like Legette, no matter how you feel about those guys, there is a point where you have to draft them.
Right.
And I was saying the same thing a few years ago about Kadarius Toney. I hated him. Everybody hated him. But he was a first-round wide receiver. There was a point where you had to draft him, and he held value for multiple years. He got traded to the Chiefs, and everybody wanted.
Yeah. People went out and got him.
Second, and that's what I did. I traded him at that point.
Good call.
And it worked out. Even though I never for a second thought he was going to be a good player, but sometimes you have to just take the value and go from there. All right. Well, anybody have any more thoughts before we end this thing? Went a little bit longer than I was thinking.
No, this is a fun one though.
Yeah, it was fun. I like that we kind of just took our time and just talked about everybody.
Definitely took the time. Jeez.
We did take our time. We probably should have kept it to 3 rounds, and then we failed. We failed at the rapid fire 4th round.
I did my job.
Not so rapid fire.
Not so rapid fire. All right. Well, thank you for everybody who joined the show, everybody who watched the show. Make sure you check out our rookie guide at yardsforfantasy.com, and we will have tons of content around the NFL draft, and we will have updates to the rookie guide shortly after the NFL draft with our post-draft analysis. And at that point, we say goodnight. Thank you.